Hello, everybody. My name's Emma Duncan, and I'm the current president of the American Society for Bone and Mineral Research. And today I'm talking with the chairperson of the Innovation Committee, Rachelle Johnson. Rachelle, welcome.
Thank you so much, Emma. I'm excited to be here.
It's a real joy for us to talk because we've actually known each other now probably for about 2 decades. And it's really lovely for me to work alongside somebody whom I've known both as a colleague and a friend for such a long period of time. Rachelle, can I ask you, in your current role at ASBMR, what does this entail?
So, as the chair of the Innovation Committee, I am tasked with bringing our group together to work on really all types of innovation for the society. So, when the Innovation Committee was first formed, I was one of the members of the original committee, and we were actually tasked with trying to come up with ways to innovate our annual meeting for ASBMR, and that was really our purview. And as really things evolved, that was just before COVID hit. And as we went through COVID and then really started to think about what societies look like on the other side of COVID, our scope really expanded to try and think about how we can innovate across the society and think about how we update our technology as well as things become more and more globalized and as we really try to interact with each other online and really think about how we're using technology in the society. So that's really the role of our committee.
I imagine really, just listening to you say that, I was thinking about, the pandemic was so terrible for so many reasons. But one of the things it did help us to do was to bring technologies that certainly were nascent into mainstream for everybody, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. But I think, from the point of view of the Innovation Committee, what we learned through the pandemic and being able to take those learnings into how we now function in our work and also in as a society, that it is good that there has been something that's been positive that came out of such a terrible time.
Absolutely, yeah. And if I can say related to that, I think we really learned how important that technology is. And we also learned within the society what the pain points were for us around that technology and what was maybe holding us back and not so much facilitating those interactions between members.
Well, look like learning where the mute button is and how to turn it off when you actually want to say something. That's a useful thing to have learned. anyway. And can I ask you what led you to volunteer for the ASBMR in the first place?
Yeah, so I think naturally I'm a service-oriented person, and I really enjoy that. I started attending ASBMR in 2008, and I sort of fell in love with the bone field. My background is all in cancer biology. As a graduate student, I was already working on sort of the tumor-bone interface and how cancer cells and bone cells interact. And so when I first attended ASBMR, I just sort of was hooked. And I benefited very early on from things like travel awards and lots of resources that were available for early stage investigators. And as a result of that, I really wanted to give back to the society. I really felt like it was my societal home. And so I wanted to really be a part of that and help to pass that along to the future early stage investigators. And so that was why I first volunteered. And actually, my first volunteer position with ASBMR was on the early stage investigator. It was a subcommittee at the time of the Membership Engagement Committee, and now it's its own standalone committee, which is fantastic. And I served on that committee for 7 years and 4 years as co-chair of that committee. And so I moved from there to the Innovation Committee. And that was really, I think it's been fantastic to see really the volunteer aspects from multiple positions and on multiple committees.
Which sort of brings me, I was going to make a comment that after 7 years, including being the co-chair, still in the early stage investigators, you probably no longer fitted the remit for the committee, but fantastic. So you sort of served through that bit and then moved on to the next part of your career. And how have you found that your serving at the ASBMR has fed back into your work? I mean, you mentioned that you'd been more involved from the cancer field, and this has sort of helped, at least being involved in the society has helped shape your scientific direction. How has being a volunteer shaped your day job?
Yeah, I mean it's had an enormous impact. So all of the service activities, I've gained a huge amount of leadership skills and a lot of what we would consider, I think, soft skills in the sciences that have really greatly impacted my career, both at the national level and just within my own institution. And so I think that has I think those experiences have naturally led then to actually other leadership opportunities, even at my institution, other national and international leadership opportunities. So it has trickled down throughout. But I've also really just valued the experience I've gained in those positions. I've learned how to come up with a business plan and make sure we're measuring outcomes, and so that has really impacted even how I think about my science as well. So I'd say it has touched all parts of my career.
Which is wonderful, And outside of your career, what's something that you'd like the society members to know about you?
Yeah, that's tricky. I think I really and I'd say just thinking about the things that really like I enjoy. I am an avid reader, but total escapism. I read plenty for work, lots of papers and things. So I am looking for complete fiction, fantasy, total world building. So I'd say I'm an avid reader and a walker. I like to walk. I cannot run for anything, but I can walk for miles and miles, and I really enjoy that.
Well, I was thinking when you were talking about escapism, when I first became an intern, I had been reading War and Peace as a medical student. And 2 weeks into my internship, I was in the bath and I realized I was reading Asterix and Obelix because I did not need to be reading War and Peace. I needed to be reading Asterix and what cacophonics and vital statistics were all up to. I mean, I get the point. Well, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you today, Rachelle. And I have one last question, which is, we first met at an ANZ Bone and Mineral Society meeting. Could I ask you how the personalities differ and at an ASBMR versus an ANZ BMS meeting? And you don't actually have to answer this question if you don't want
to. No comment.
As you said, leadership skills that you learn by being a volunteer. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure to talk today, and I'm really looking forward to working with you during my presidency and then continuing on as a volunteer at the ASBMR. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Emma.